Let's hear it from Tiger and Rory in the immediate aftermath, speaking to you guys.
I'm happy with how I played. I didn't get off to a great start, but I hung in there and I battled back and just sort of ran out of holes at the end.
When did you think you were back in it?
When that putt went in on 14. And even maybe when I made birdie on 11, I saw that Tiger was leading on his own at 7 at that point. I just got into 5. So, 2 behind with a few holes left. I thought I was right in it. But yeah, when the eagle putt went in on 14, I felt, if I could, get 1 or 2 out of these last 4 holes. But it was just tough, where they'd put the pins and with the wind, it was tough to get them close and tough to make birdies. And as I said, the only real chance was at the last. And, even if I had held that putt, I would have came up 1 short. It was great, just to be a part of it and hear the roars and, Tiger being back in the mix and, everything. There's a lot of big names up there, and it was nice to be a part of it. And, I looked for a while that Tiger was going to win. And, one of my mindset was I'm going to spoil the party here. Yeah, I mean, not Tiger that, Phil and Ernie and all those guys had to deal with. It's a different version, but, he's right there. He's right there. He's getting himself in the mix. He looked good in DC a couple of weeks back. He's looked good here. I'm not sure if that finish is going to get him into Akron or not, but he's played a full schedule. He's healthy. I wouldn't say we're worried about him, but he's one of the guys that's always in with a shot.
A little ticked off at myself for sure. I had a chance starting that back 9 to do something, and I didn't do it. I thought 9 would be the number. There's 3 guys at 9. I figured one of the 3 guys would shoot even par. I know it's tough out there, but I figured I needed to go get that number somehow. And next thing, lo and behold, I'm tied for lead, and then I'm leading it. And that unfortunately I hit a bad 3-iron off the tee there at 10. Grass grabbed my shaft again and hit it left, and I made a couple mistakes there on the green. Today I did everything the way that I thought I needed to do it to win the championship. This entire week I felt like I needed to keep building my way into this championship. It's one of those where, as I said early in the week, it's going to be about 10, 12 guys with a chance to win it on Sunday because we're all driving the same areas. And kind of turned out that way. There are a bunch of guys packed, a bunch of guys with a chance to win, and I was one of them. I was a blast. I was saying earlier that I know I need to try and keep it in perspective, because at the beginning of the year, if you would have said you were playing the Open Championship, I would have said I'd be very lucky to do that. I talked to Serena and I are good friends, and I'm sure she'll probably call me and talk to me about it, because you got to put things in perspective. She just had a baby and lost Wimbledon finals. I used to just keep it in perspective. And the same thing with me. I know that it's going to sting for a little bit here, but given where I was to where I'm at now, blessed.
Yeah, Neil, did he cut the figure of somebody who felt he was blessed and had context, or was he kind of a bit depressed when you guys were talking to him there?
Well, I actually wasn't around for the press conference when Tiger was on. I was doing an update. Someone kindly helped me out with a bit of audio there. But yeah, listening back to it, I think immediately he probably is just very, very disappointed that he finally got into that position and surrendered it so easily. It was just it was a foolish double bogey to end up making that really knocked him down the leaderboard, and he never really recovered from it. But I think maybe down the line, he'll probably look back now and go, you know what, as much as it hurt to throw that away somewhat on the back 9, my God, it was a great feeling to actually be up there again, because it was 7 years since he either tied or had the lead on his own on a Sunday at a major championship. That was the Masters in 2011. So to go that long without being there, and there were thereabouts on a Sunday, and getting that feeling again, I'd say he probably thought he wasn't really going to get that feeling of being in contention on a Sunday at a major championship again. And he might not get that again, I'd say, until another Open Championship, because it probably is the only one, I think, out there where he does have a chance, because the Open, rather than the USPGA or the Masters or the US Open, it takes the weakest part of his game out of his game. This week he didn't have to worry about driving the ball.
Yeah.
And he was, up until Sunday afternoon at least, he was the most accurate player off the tee all week. And he's not going to have that luxury at other events. So if he is to add another major to his haul, it could well be an Open Championship. But I think when he does look back at this in a few weeks, he'll probably be quite pleased.
One last point about McIlroy. He didn't sound like somebody who was in the teeth of a competitive surge, that like he's like, oh yeah, I was happy to be involved, it was nice to experience that thing, as opposed to, oh, I'm really annoyed that I didn't win when I had the opportunity to do so. And that's definitely been the perception, that a little bit of the heat of McIlroy's competitive fire has come off in recent seasons, with the rest of the stuff that comes from being the centre of a giant industry that is Rory McIlroy Inc. And yet the opposite side of that is he was way off the lead, and he had to fight back really hard with the birdie on 11 and the eagle with that giant putt, which isn't something that we always associated with Rory McIlroy, even when things were going well. That if he went out of convention, or out of competition, contention, that actually his shoulders would slump and he would let the whole game go. So there was enough good and bad in microcosm from McIlroy yesterday for you to be able to paint both pictures on the back of this Open.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to go on the positive side, to be honest, because I think throughout this whole week we didn't really at any stage see that point where, as you mentioned, the shoulders slump, and we've seen that so many times from him. I think he putted well this week, better than he normally does. Those two putts yesterday, that one for birdie, which was about 45 feet, and then it was 39 for that eagle. Like, they were enormous moments. And overall, he played quite well, I think. And I think that's probably what he felt coming off the 18th, that, maybe there was he probably left one or two shots out there over the course of the week. I think occasionally he played bad shots, and he followed them up with good shots to get himself back into position. I can remember, I think it was on Saturday, there were 3 absolutely vital par saves on the back 9. Yesterday as well, 16 and 17, 2 of the hardest holes on the entire golf course. And he found himself in a world of trouble on the 16th and managed to make a long enough par putt. And then on the 17th, he had a huge sand save. So even though he missed that birdie putt, which was, I can't remember now, maybe about 12 or 15 feet on the 18th hole, he was probably looking back at it going, those pars I made at 16 and 17 were almost like birdies in and of themselves. So, all in all, he had probably picked up one shot on those closing 3 holes. So I don't really think there was much more he could have done. I think he played very well all week, and it was just one of those weeks where someone just about played better than him.
Do you think that some people who are kind of calling for maybe a change in Rory's caddy, or kind of a drastic alteration in his setup at the moment, do you think those people now will change their mind, that it was kind of a season-shifting sort of performance from him over the past 4 or 5 days?
No, I probably don't too much. I think the issue with the caddy is something, if people were calling out for that, excuse me, all season, it's just going to still rumble on until he starts winning things, Probably not so much a season-changing event. It probably turns what has been a kind of a disappointing little run into something he can build on now and actually go and target the PGA Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that maybe somebody who could read the greens, who was like been at Carnoustie before, would have been useful. There's a few putts that were like, oh, that's about 3 feet offline. Somebody been like, what about over here?
Did his putting get better over the course of the week, Neil? Like, I mean, does that kind of show that perhaps Rory kind of figured it out to a certain extent, and that when it comes to the feel of the putter, it's starting to come back a little bit?
Well, I think the greens in general, a lot of the putt, they were relatively flat at Carnoustie. They were in absolutely fantastic condition as well. While the rest of the course was playing like a rock, and the fairway was quite thin, the greens were in absolutely immaculate condition. And I think if the greens had been a bit harder during the week, something like level par or 1 under could have actually won the entire tournament. So that probably kept it it allowed for a little bit of scoring. And as I say, they weren't the most difficult greens to putt on. They were in very good condition. But he did putt, slightly better than normal. He had quite a few long putts that went in. I think in the end he was up around maybe the top 15 overall in a putts gained per greens in regulation. It's not shooting the lights out. Like Jordan Spieth coming into the final day was second. I think maybe Xander Schauffele was first, but it is quite a bit higher than he normally is.
All right, good stuff, Neil. Thanks a million.